GM. Another week, another account review. So, today we're taking a look at someone who has already played a good amount of RTA and he wants me to just take a look at his box and help him optimize his account, basically. Okay? There isn't so much to look at, but I'm going to be doing most of my review on trying to help him push from Masters 3 into Mythic. That's basically what I'm trying to do here. And so, the first thing I need to do is help him restart this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into his archive just to see what he has. Alright. And clearly he doesn't have the units to play Cleave because Doki Mio is missing. Beyontin is missing, but he has everything else. I wouldn't even look past the SRs because he should have everything else. Not having Lilith is not a horrible thing. And so, just off a quick glance from what he has in his box, it already tells me he's playing a bit more bruisery. But he also has a slight option to move into aggro if he really wanted to, because he has Messiah, he has Yeli, he has Heinrich, he has Tsukiyomi, he has Lily, and those are like the main culprits of playing aggro, right? So now that I know that, let's take a look at his inventory. Let's look at his consumables. Let's see if he's been doing stuff. So he's been, pushing up his levels, which is great. We just had the Blessings galore, so I assume he's already made some new level 50s, got some new toys. Consumables, you can see he's blasted all of his stamina. Great, that's what I want to see. Fragments, he's just gotten his tofu, and he's already used the tofu from the looks of it. So nothing too fancy over there. Now, next thing I want to look for is his... Before I do that, let me just take a look. I'm pretty sure everything is Inferno and on his PvE, so I don't have to, have a little heart attack when I go through his account. But that's good. Any-sync is complete. The Ember track is already started a little bit. You can see this guy's been playing his account. He's been playing. So that's a good sign, a very good sign. That means his account is up to date. So we can now comfortably take a look at his prowesses and see what we're working with. Tiamat 555. Absolutely monstrous. Holy, well done, sir. Max dupe as well. Very nice. Okay. Rahu is 555 as well. Okay, so he's really invested into his bruises. Lily is 551. Ling is 511, that's fair. Holden 555. Then Fornil is 113 as like everyone else. 455 on the Lilium. And I would definitely recommend you get this one, buddy. Whenever you get the chance, make sure you get this one. I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting Dazzler's Pulse at the time of this recording in the next event. So, just put it in here, dude. This is actually super important. Hoyan is 145, which is amazing. He has anti-cleave options as well. Yeli is 455. Freya is 112. Interesting choice to go with the damage multiplication here. Maybe he just wants the extra HP, because a lot of people would definitely just go straight for the speed first. 511 is usually what they would do. 455 on Rosa, 113 on Fu Shu. I will assume all your SRs are 555 because I don't see any purple tofus, and if you've been collecting them, they should all be 555, which is what I'm seeing here, which is great. That's what I wanted to see. Heinrich, 114. So he went for the speed here. Very nice. Veronica is not worked on. Romoka is 115. So I assume that this is what you used earlier on to clear Doki, or might even be something you're still using to clear Doki. Let me see. Yeah, you don't use her anymore. Okay. Born is 155. So Born is usable. Okay. 100% usable. Very nice. Shadow Sanya 511. This guy is really putting his tofus to work, and I commend you for that. That is very, very good. Messiah. Okay, now we go down to the cleave portion of the account, and you can see that he didn't really work on his cleave stuff. Understandable. That's fine. That's fine. RC77 at 425 tells me you're using this for Doki Doki. Mia 111. Okay, that's about it. Cool. Alright, so you have definitely put your tofus to work. That is very nice to see. Now the next thing we're going to take a look at right now is your arena loadout. Let's see how you have geared them. And I like that you have already, you know, start your units. That means these are the units that you want to use. And you stop at Kachi the Guard. Even though you have Ninfonio and all of this, I think you just forgot. Or you got lazy. Make sure you don't do that, because scrolling up and down takes time within your drafting. And doing this non-stop with your mouse actually, you know, messes your brain up a little bit. Okay? So make sure you start them. There is a 100% chance you're using Lilium, because every game you showed me, you've used the Lilium. So I'm just going to do you a favor and I'm going to start it for you. Okay? So let's start with the first one. We have Hein as a strip. Full strip. Okay, very good. Not worrying too much about anything else except his effect accuracy. And he is on Dark Moon, because you had the double swift, so that's not too bad. Tiamat is on Amber, Bloodbath, Bramble, Colossal Guard. Respectable HP, 222 speed, okay. Rahu is on Strive with 100% crit, so you managed to get 100% crit on 3.1k HP, which is nice. This is very nice. Okay, I assume 30%. Yep. So with Rahu here, now that I just took a quick peek here, you need to fix this up a little bit. I would highly recommend, instead of having the final damage, re-roll this to get him into the oddity, the Blade of Hollow, so that he does more damage. Because Rahu that doesn't do damage, you know, it's just tickling. You want him to do damage, and the reason you went for 100 crit is because of that very reason. Okay, so your shell has to make sense. Understandable that you went with crit rate here, because you don't quite really need the speed on him because you're running Stripe, although a bit more speed would be nice. Adding another 20 speed here makes your Rahu take turns a lot faster. But this is understandable. The one that is not understandable is the Dauntless, because you definitely want damage on your Artisan. Lily, you're using her as a speed unit. On Jackal, without immunity. Even though you have the immunity on the... No, you don't have immunity on your Jackal guard. Okay, so you're just going straight for speed. Cool. Ling, very fast. On Alicorn, okay. I assume you're on Alicorn because you don't have effect res, huh? You went for a bit more HP here, I would say. Oh, you went with 1 HP and you still have 36k HP. That is nice. That is respectable. And this is not even maxed yet. Okay. Having her at about 276 speed is not bad. I can see that she is already faster than most of your bruisers, and you usually play her with your bruisers anyway. Holden, very, very good stats on him. Playing him on Amber, I assume it's because you just want that second life on him. Although I must say, your HP is a tad low, buddy. 20k HP is quite low. Especially if you get defense broken, you are kinda dead, you know? Because if you don't have enough HP, even though you have 3.6k defense, it doesn't really matter because you are on Amber. You're not gonna get that artificial HP from Artisan. to begin with, or the initial heal from Lighthouse. And so you are just going to be pretty damn squishy, and you are going to be taxing your healers a lot. Like Ling is going to constantly want to go into your Holden when you want to heal someone else. You know, Sanya is going to be healing him more than often when you want to heal other units. And so I would definitely try to find a way to work around this HP here. Try to get it a little higher. Even if that means, you know, dropping 100 defense on your stat here and putting it a little bit more into your effective HP. Because you have to know how to calculate your EHP as well. Okay, like I have mine on 3.5k defense, but it's like 354 something. But I have 25k HP, you know? And so you already have, the speed is not bad because you're on Strive to begin with. You just have to work on your HP here. Damage is okay, but you can honestly throw a little bit of this crit damage into your HP here. So this is your shells are fine. Lilium is awfully slow, unfortunately. Okay, and I can see that you are just trying to force the law of silence on her, and it should be a nice indicator to you that your Lilium has more HP than your Holden. Okay, because if we go back here, you can see that your Holden has 20k and your DPS has 22, right? And that's because you have, you know, sacked a good amount of, you know, speed stats onto your HP instead, from what I'm seeing here, right? If I look it through, every piece here is going to have HP, see? You see what I mean? And so that might be a bit of, that you might need to do a slight re-gear of some sort just to, you know, balance it out. Your damage is okay. There's nothing wrong with your damage, but she's too slow for my liking. Especially in a team where, you know, you're playing with your strip, which is already relatively fast. Your strip here is 210. Being almost 30 speed slower on your Lilium doesn't make sense to me. Okay? You should try to tighten this gap up here if you're playing Holden as, you know, your strip. Sometimes you're going to need to use S3 first. Tighten that gap in between here. Okay? Because this will also mean you can tie it in with your Lily. That means if your Lily is pushing your Lilium, you're not a tortoise still. Alright, you're not a turtle. Hoyan needs work 100%. Although you have the damage, but your crit rate is not there. And if your crit rate is not there and Hoyan missed a crit, you have kind of punted the draft. Let's be real here. Okay? And so I would definitely try to find a way to find more crit rate on her. Even if that means you have to change your count over to a momentum piece just so you can get the crit rate. And realistically speaking, you shouldn't be using Fury. If you're going to be playing count on her, you should be on Bulwark. Okay? Because if we just quickly take a look here, let's see if you have any. Alright, Bulwark, Fury Edge. You have one. Right here, Keen Eye, Bulwark, Fury Edge. You should be using this 10 out of 10 times, okay? You don't have the protection from Law of Silence on her to begin with, and so she can be easily targeted by a Holden, full reset, done. Your Hoyan ain't moving, your Hoyan ain't pressing S3, your Hoyan is just a useless unit on the board. And so you should definitely find a way to put her on Bulwark. Yelly, this is okay. Although I don't understand. So you're just here to just hit the stat line for Yelly. I assume you rarely ever use Yelly, and I would highly recommend if you are playing RTA to always have Yelly in your disposal. You never know when you're going to need a Yelly in your draft. Okay? And this Yelly is quite slow for what she can do, because Yelly already gives herself crit rate up. Okay, so you only have to hit the 70% threshold, and it's very easy for you to hit the threshold without Fury Edge. So your Fury Edge can be freed up for a swift raid instead. Okay? Try to get the speed up a little bit more, put on a Swift Red on her, and she should be moving at about maybe plus 110, I want to say. Maybe 230, that should be better. You don't want to get Giga punished, it's the real threat here. Freya, not used. Rosa, not used. Born, or Borkney. Brother. I know you said you don't you don't have a lot of chips, because I saw you don't have a lot of chips, but come on now. You can't expect to bring this into an RTA match and hope for the best. You already have this on him, right? The Bulwark set. And I just showed you that you have Bulwarks, right? Even if I take this away and I put Swift Raid, you have 2. Okay? Worst case scenario, you can always put him on Dark Moon. Because Dark Moon scales with his passive, right? And so you already have a ready to go bomb. Fix up your passive effects and you should be good to go. Okay? Because if I were to quickly just do this, right? If I just do this, you have all of this. And if I were to go into like contain 1 matrix module, 2 matrix module, you have some amount to sell away. Okay? You've kept your inventory relatively clean and tidy, but where did you put all your stats? That's what I'm trying to ask you now. Okay? Where did you throw all your reconfigure chips? Okay? Because if I take a quick glance on your stuff, so if we go quickly into here, and let's just go left to right. You have 1 red speed, and most of your stuff here are just yellows and purples, you know? Right? Yellows and purples. And all the important stuff are not red speed. You see? I'm just skimming through. So my question to you is, where did all your reconfigured chips go? Were you just trying to really gun for a 20 this is not even 20 speed, this is 16 speed. Were you just really trying to gun for, 20 speed and not worry about the rest? Because realistically speaking, when you look at a piece like this, you want them to be at least, red or gold, not blue, bro. The blues are unacceptable, right? You should have that standard for yourself. You see, I'm just scrolling through, and gold, blue, gold, and then you have like some absurd pieces that you just really focus your stamina or your resources in. So let's go back into Born, or Borkney, like I like to call him. Where is he? Where is Borkney boy? There he is. Alright, you have immunity set already, and you have the best set for him, which is Dark Moon on the shell. Change him to Bloodbath, buddy. That's fine. You also want him on Swiss Smite anyway, because the effect accuracy actually matters. You get extra effect accuracy off your Dark Moon already, and you want to be able to strip stuff, right? So just do that, and then just have triple right side attack bonus, like what you're doing right now. You don't have to, giga stack with Onslaught. Okay? Fushu is omega slow, and you have on Bulwark, which is fine. 190 speed, that's okay. I don't think you should have it that slow, not when your skill ups are not there. Okay, so if you go into your skill ups, let's see where you put I'm just gonna filter by this. There we go. You're 113, right? If you're 113 here, your turn meter is pushed by 12%. You should at least get this as well. The 15 speed here, and then you'll be an extra 15 speed faster, which would then, coincide and work in sync with your speed. Because I understand why you want to build her slow. Everybody wants to build her slow. Alright, the good thing is you have her already on immunity, so you don't have to worry too much. And you have her on Halloween. because you just want to, you know, spam S3. Understandable there. Okay, so adding another 15 speed here puts her to 86, right? So 200 and 205. That is a much better threshold. So there is still work to be done. Don't forget that, especially since you're a bit of a bruiser-ish account. Like your gigabyte is hard. You are, you know, hard forcing the bulwark on her with 140 F-res, and you are relatively fast. Okay, you have to think about it like this. If you are playing a bulwark set on Asanya, for example, on gigabyte, okay, and you have it relatively fast, you need to be able to tune this in a way where if she goes and, you know, wears off that immunity, you need to find a way to reapply that back. Because if she cuts at the wrong time, then you're in trouble. I don't know if you've experienced this, but from just looking at your stat line, this is what it tells me. Okay? Because your Ling is 276, and so this has a good chance of, you know, when you're playing against, you know, a CC unit, they're going to always have 3 units move first even before your Ling does. Then this is going to cut. But the problem here is, can your Ling reapply the stacks, right? Because you're on Alicon. Can you reliably get rid of the sleep, the stuns, with the whole bunch of other debuffs on her? How consistent is that? Is you have to ask yourself, because you have the time where your Sania's S3 is going to go, your S1 is going to go to cleanse off debuffs, right? And so if you have it this fast, hopefully it is speed tuned to your account. Viper 227, I would definitely run this guy a whole lot faster than this in your account, being a bruiser. If ideally you want him to be one of the first units to move in your team. Okay, especially if you're using him to counter cleave or to counter a Lilium. Okay, typical Liliums are built with 240, 230 to about 220 to 250 speed, and so 227 here. You are forfeiting the entire reason you're using Viper, which is to put attack down on Lilium, so Lilium can't mess you up, right? She can't fuck you over. But your Viper is way too slow for that to happen, and so you need to always have that threat there. That Viper can always put attack down and speed down. You want to always, you know, pose that threat. If I go into a game with you and I see your Viper being, you know, one of the last units to move against my aggro CC team comp, I'm not afraid, because I've already done the damage before you even put the attack down. Okay? Kazuo on Bulwark, Codex. So this is a Force Bulwark, is it? Oh no, you have Bulwark here. You are just using a Strife variant. Okay. 267 at 189 accuracy. Yeah, there we go. Tells me you're not on max accuracy, which is fine and all. If you're going to be playing a little bit slower, you don't need to run her on speed. You can always run her on, you know, Bloodbath. Let me see if you have any of this. There you go. You can always use this. You can always use this. Right? You can always use this. Right? This on a red Chiaki doesn't make sense at all to begin with, anyway. So, you have options. And so I think that the problem here is that you are building units. The more I look at your units, the more I think about the way you build your units. It's not very... It's just, what gear do I have and what can I put it on? And that's how you are building your units. You're not thinking about, does this work if I were to do X, Y, Z? Which is why, okay, when I looked at your drafts, you're always drafting the same 5 units. Even though you have over like 20 units built. You know what I mean? Like Ninfornio at 258 speed is understandable because your DPS is slow. Okay, but then again, you're not on any form of, immunity set to protect yourself, which means you're forced to use one slot to play a immunity giver or a purifier. She can't be played by herself, which is why naturally a lot of people like to play Nymphonia fast or on Bulwark to protect herself. And so we keep going down. We can see this is not built properly at all from the get-go. I can already tell. Just plus 67 speed on a Veronica just does not make sense in general. And that's about it. Okay, so I assume you stop using units at Nymphonia. Again, Kachi the God doesn't make sense to me. Again, and that's why I think you're finding trouble trying to drop other units. It's because you don't know how you want to use your units. For example, if you have Kachi the God, you want to always pose the threat that this Kachi is always going to move before other debuffers or strippers in the game, right? Because you can, someone can always strip you. That's fine. Let's say you have immunity on your units. Obo moves, strips everything. You want your Kachi to move right after an Obo, right? So you can reapply the immunity, okay? Or you can just apply a whole bunch of shit on your units because he moves so fast. He moves first, and now the Obo or the Heinrich has to go through a couple of checks, and there is a chance they might miss stripping the immunity, and if they strip the immunity last, then they're probably not going to land debuffs. So you have to think about all these kind of things. And running a Kachi on that 234 speed does not make sense to me. Okay, which is why you only play with, this very few units, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So realistically speaking, you only have 8 units built. You know what I mean? I don't even want to count this Borgny at all, because this Borgny is built wrong to begin with. You have immunity set, you're not on immunity set, and you're not on, optimal sets already. So using this guy is already making your life difficult because he's just gonna get, CC'd, and then he just can't do his thing. When you clearly have a piece like this, which I've been looking for ages. Okay, this is a perfect Borgny piece. Perfect. Alright? If you are slow and you know that you are a bit slower, you can always try to incorporate a Freya on Bulwark and use her as a manipulator for turn meter. Right? And so that is what I'm getting the sense of. It starts off very nice, and then as I progress down your account, the gear quality just gets worse and worse and worse. Like, there is no harm in having worse quality as you go down. Even I have that. But it needs to make sense. Okay? It has to make sense. And so I would definitely recommend you go back to watch some of my older RTA masterclasses where I teach you how you should be gearing your units. Okay? Look, just grab a pen and paper. Okay? I always have one next to me. Write down combos, write down DPS, write down this. Try to mix and match and figure it out. I don't know how you guys do it in this day and age, but I'm a boomer. I'm going to use a pen and paper. Do that. Alright? So, that is definitely what I am seeing in your account. Okay? Like, for example, you have these two favorited, but they're broken. Why are they broken? Okay? So, as I move on to your account, that's what I'm seeing. Okay? Besides that, that's really nothing much. I think what you need to do is you need to really solidify your favorite 10 to 12. Okay? Based on what I'm looking, you only have, enough amazing gear to gear up a proper 12 unit roster. And if you can do that, I can promise you your chance of getting to Mythic is going to be a whole lot higher. Okay? You have definitely done a couple of things right. The first thing is you've definitely put your tofus to use. Alright? Use that as an indicator to where you should be going. Like, you have everything mostly tofued up, ready to go. And because you have that in your back pocket already, use it to your advantage. Okay? Really build out a nice little, 12-man roster pushing 15 maybe, just to be safe, and just build those 15 and just play with those 15. Because if I were to just go into your drafts, right, real quick, I'm not going to comment too much about your drafting because this is not an RTA masterclass. Okay, I'll just quickly just show you, like, you look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same 3 units I see there already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same 3 units I see there already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same 3 units I see there already. Okay, you're only playing this. You're playing the same thing over and over and over again. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with you doing that. But the reasons why sometimes you're losing here is because your box doesn't make sense. Your draft doesn't make sense. And when I say your draft doesn't make sense, I mean your speed tuning is off. You know what I mean? And so, for example, here just a quick peek into this. This is going to go sleep everyone, and you're fucked. You're just done. Okay? Because your Veronica may be on Bulwark. I'm not even sure if you're on Bulwark here. Because if I were to take a look here again, let's go down to the Veronica. Okay? It's on Bulwark, but god damn, bro, 184 speed, you ain't doing anything. You know what I mean? You're not doing anything. And so, just going back into that match, you can see the cast is going to sleep everyone, granted, but your Veronica is not cutting anybody to put up soul wall and spread out the immunity, so that now they have to think twice who they want to hit. Because if they hit the Veronica again, and if your Veronica is fast, it's going to move again and do the same shit, right? But because you are so slow on the board, your Veronica is not doing much. Okay, so your speed tuning needs to be worked on. And so that is basically the account review. Alright? To reiterate, go through your entire box. Spend a day not playing RTA. Okay? You still have 20 days. Sit down. I would highly recommend you come in here and you ungear everything. And start from scratch. Using a notepad or some form of, strategy. Just write down your units. What they want to do, how do you want them to perform, and go from there. All right, have 12 to 15 units built. 12 is like ideal. 15 you're pushing it with your gear, but I think you can build 15 units relatively easily, and go from there. Okay, that's about it. That's the account review. Hopefully you guys found value. If you did, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. Catch you guys in the next one.